The students were terrified and asked how they were going to be taken together to the base. The soldiers said they would run. They complained about why there wasn't transportation for them as well. Another student said it's over 10 kilometers to the base. The soldier made it clear that whoever complains again will be treated as a deserter and will receive punishment. They must shut up and follow whoever they can. The teacher took out a bag of chocolate, gave one to each of the students who were already exhausted, and with that, they walked until nightfall and reached the base at the foot of the mountain. They were ordered to enter the base, descending the stairs. The place was very large and technological, and there was no one there. The teacher tried to keep everyone calm, and soon after, a group of soldiers in sealed suits arrived and applied gas to them. After that, a slightly greedy woman introduced herself and asked them to cooperate. This is just a disinfection to ensure that no disease will spread in the base. They lined up, and everyone went through disinfection, blood tests, and fecal tests. After all the tests were done and they waited, they were served a portion of a white yogurt. They said it was very tasty, and everyone ate it together. "Would you like to try this yogurt?" After a while, she quickly asked who his son was. The frightened father said this is his son. The woman ordered her team to take them to the appropriate place. However, she told the son that he must go somewhere else. Before leaving, the boy told the other students that he's not like them. He's important here because of his father. Before he left, the father warned the son to follow the rules. Don't break the rules. The woman led the boy to another place, and the other students whispered from afar that this isn't right. He's being privileged. They finally arrived where the woman wanted. The large woman told the boy to take a bath. Without thinking twice, he did it. It had been 3 months since he had bathed. After coming out still with a towel, the boy widened his eyes. The greedy woman was in front of him, ready to work hard. She grabbed his hand and threw him on the bed. While things happened in this room, we go back to the other students, taken to another place to wear uniforms. A woman along with other armed soldiers said they were going to the place where they would work. They arrived at a place where there were bizarre bicycles with giant gears and people pedaling. This is where you will work. In these difficult times, you will work here all day to have food and a warm place to sleep. She also explained to them that the energy of the entire base is generated here, so their work is very important. Anyone who doesn't work to generate energy will go without food. The students cry in despair. How could they, who are such important people, do this? All the students enter a panic and ask the teacher to save them. They didn't deserve to go through this. The leader of the place says they can cry while they work. The teacher agrees and advises them not to be afraid. At least here, they will have protection and food. For now, they must go to work and obey orders, including herself. In the privileged student's room, he is destroyed. After the service, the father was at the door, waiting for everything to finish. He asked if everything went well. The large woman replied, yes, the boy is really his son. He's exactly like him. Very hardworking. In other words, his father's job was just to satisfy the needs of this large woman. That's why he's so thin and worn out. It's very tiring. She leaves and says she hopes his son continues to work hard, because it's very important for the base's prosperity. The boy lay down without believing what had happened. The father asks if he's okay, and if he didn't break anything in his body. Crying, he asks why his father didn't tell him before that this was how he had survived all this time. What happened to his job? The father replies that it's complicated. Things changed after the hard times came. He explains that after the beginning of the snowstorm, which they believed would last a short time, they discovered that mutant people with powers emerged, and over time, the hierarchy changed. People with powers became more relevant, and people who were only in lower political positions lost their space. For him to continue to stay safe here, it was necessary for him to work hard, very hard, with the lady who just left. And from now on, his son must take his place and work hard. Returning to the dormitory after an exhausting day of pedaling, everyone had sore glutes. They asked the teacher if they would have to work like this every day from now on. For the time being, yes, and they shouldn't complain about just having to work. That's how people live in the normal world too. However, they are not normal, they are the elite. Do important people have to work too? Why do they have to suffer? They want the teacher to come up with a solution so they don't have to work. During this discussion, the most influential boy returns to the room looking very sad and downcast. They then ask him if he, being important, can change their situation. However, he says that things here aren't as he thought. Now all they can do is follow orders. Each one has their function that deserves respect here. The teacher then asked if he had returned to where he was and what he was doing. The frustrated boy said that he was now getting to know the base. Now he understands how things really work here. He held a meeting and explained to everyone that from now on, they have to rely only on themselves. As he explained the new social hierarchy, the teacher realized that she, with her position as a teacher, no longer holds any significance. But as an experienced fighter, a strong mutant, she has some value. The teacher asked him to explain the current situation of the base. He said that this place is run by Chen Xining, who with the support of the Awakened, has become the new leader of the area, and now, he controls everything. The people close to him who are important live in layer number one of this area and have a comfortable life. In total, there are 4 layers in the base. The leader and his family live in Layer 1. In Layer 2, the technicians and scientists have a comfortable life. In Layer 3, the mutants with powers also have a good life. In the 4th layer are the people who have to work to generate energy for the base and have a miserable life. The boy, frightened, explains to them that he doesn't intend to rebel. The people from the 3rd level ensure security. Here, no one has a chance to even think about going against them because they will be annihilated. After seeing all this, one of the boys grabs the guy by the neck and says it's all his fault. He promised they would have a good life, that they would be saved. He retorted, saying they preferred to stay in college, die by the giant cat, or go without food. He lets go and says that if they have any chance of improving the situation, it depends on teacher Liang. The other students turn to her and say that they are her responsibility. She has to help them improve their lives. They can't work hard in life, at least let them have an easy job. After seeing so much absurdity, the woman said she was tired and would rest to work tomorrow. The next day, everyone wakes up to go to work, all in a line. The local supervisor announces that today is a day to thank the savior, Chen Xining, for saving them all. From time to time, all the personnel working at the base are gathered to stand and glorify the savior who conquered the base and keeps them all safe. While everyone follows the herd effect, the teacher is the only one who realizes what is happening here. The supervisor says over the loudspeaker that they are grateful to the supreme leader of the base. The teacher knows that this is brainwashing. Everyone is invited to step forward, take a megaphone, say their name, what they like, and that they are grateful to be part of the family. In this morning meeting, they are taken to eat porridge rations. The teacher notices that the other students are already mingling with the others and seem a little happier. The boss's secretary enters the room with her escort and over the loudspeaker asks if Liang is here. If she is, she must follow her. She goes to the woman to greet her and obey orders. Her students even think that this is a plan of the teacher to improve their situation in the base. But the secretary stares at everyone, and they understand the message. Return to your places. With the teacher, the secretary is polite, and after walking through the base, they arrive at the supreme leader's office. With great respect, he greets the teacher and tells her to sit down. The leader explains all his plans and ambitions for this base. With so much kindness, she listened to everything he has to say. His secretary will take the teacher to her new residence, there on level 2, and now she will be a military officer because she has awakened powers. Meanwhile, the most luxurious place of all is Zhang Yi's pleasure residence. After much insistence on trying to make friends with the cat, feeding her the best food he has. Gradually, the protagonist convinced the precious Blossom cat to trust him. The animal watches her precious friend Shinshin completely trust the man, so she decides to try. He thought that now he would succeed, but the cat ignores him and enters his house for the first time. She marks her territory, tears up the $1,000 sofa, and the protagonist accepts it without complaining. Jokir says thank goodness this kitty isn't a woman, because if that were the case, she would lose her function to this cat. The kitten does everything she has to do, and then curls up in an armchair and sleeps. He tries to pet her, and the kitten doesn't allow it, but after insisting, he succeeds. There, after much effort, the animal's trust is gained. After being tamed, Yang Mi bathes with her every time. Are those giant melons floating? Jokir and the other girls also approached the new pet of the house. Everything was going smoothly. Shinshin was also mastering the house's technology with her hacking power. She discovered where the attempts to breach the house's security system were coming from, and thanks to her skills, it was straightforward to find out where they are, and they have no idea she's in their system. It was precisely from the base where Shinshin's teacher is. Soon they should find out and try to attack this mansion. The confident protagonist says that when that time comes, he will destroy all his enemies without fear. He goes to Karen to find out about the progress in improving security. Karen says she made a silencer for him. His rifle is lethal, but it makes too much noise. Now he can be more discreet while carrying out his eliminations. She did a good job, even though the girl says that's the least she can do. She'll do anything he wants. He sits next to the girl and puts his hand on her shoulder. He asks if she knows how to manufacture grenades and explosive mines. I'm not sure if she's uncomfortable or shy. She looks at him with a questioning look and says he's underestimating her. The girl thought it was something complicated, but it's straightforward. The protagonist thought being able to do that was already incredible. She explains that people have been doing this since medieval times. She, as an expert, can do it blindfolded if she has the materials. If that's the case, Zhang Yi explains that enemies of an armed organization can attack their base, and they have mutant powers. She is concerned if they are in danger, but the protagonist reassures her and says no, he can keep everyone safe. Furthermore, the protagonist says that since the first time he saw the girl, he felt a special affinity for her. The girl questions if this is really true. He just asks when he ever lied to her. He felt something for her. It's as if she were a sister he has to protect. These words leave her deeply sad, so she also has no chance of being something more to him. Zhang Yi strokes her face and says that as long as she works for him, she will have a safe life. The girl perks up again and says she will do everything he asks, without any restriction. Now Zhang Yi leaves the girl to work. He admits that his method is to make her totally devoted to him, to try to win his approval with the best possible work. He urgently needs her to pass weapons to him, to use against his new enemies. The next step was to contact Chun and Uncle Yu. He tells them that he discovered the existence of a fortress that will be a threat to him. These soldiers are already spreading out. They shouldn't can't reveal to anyone that they have special abilities. Uncle Yu and the otaku agree and will be careful as he asked. After warning the two, Zhang Yi affirms that the otaku is at greater risk. His people are situated between his base and the mysterious military base, so they will soon be the first to receive a visit from these people. The protagonist warns that if Chun is in danger, he can come to his mansion as quickly as possible. The reason for this is that someone with such incredible abilities like Chun cannot be left to die. Meanwhile, Chun was sure that they would not harm his people because they are just a farming village. I don't see why any organization would be interested in them. In the base of the West Mountain, which is 27 kilometers from Chun's village, two people leave the base, and their destination is to investigate the region where our protagonist is. A man and a girl prepare to travel, so he asks her if she thinks this snowstorm will end at some point. According to her, the cold will last a long time still. She says this could be God's last act to eliminate the sins of the earth. They hop on the sled and head toward their goal of investigating the district where the suspect Zhang Yi's base is. The condominium where the protagonist's base is located is after a frozen river. They won't go there now. They head off until they find a safe passage. Soon they are in front of Chun's village. They are impressed that behind the humble houses, there is a giant ice castle. Such a construction. They make noise at the entrance to the village, so the residents come out to see who's arriving. In these difficult times, everyone is an enemy. The woman is surprised that they are so prepared for the cold. When asked who they are, she introduces herself as government envoys on an official mission. After the village leader verifies if she is really the person she claims to be, the old man said they are welcome here. He also orders his people to treat these people very well. They are introduced to the important places in the village. One of the villagers, troubled by this, questions why the leader is welcoming these people. It's clear what they want from them. The old man counters by asking what is more important at the moment. It's not the food they have, it's the influence of the powerful people in this town. He convinces the people that providing food for them is a small price to pay to have an alliance with the military. The leader offered a banquet for the visitors. The girl says she is surprised at how well they can handle the snowstorm. They have plenty of food and can survive the cold. The leader boasts that it's all thanks to him. He ordered the snow castle to be built. The organization of the village's resources and food cultivation is all the responsibility of this old man. This makes the two soldiers admit that he is incredibly competent. One of the followers thinks their leader is a liar. He became the leader just a week ago. Everything he's talking about is the merit of the previous leader. The girl continues to extract information from the leader. She is curious about how they can produce so much food. The old man explains that before the snowstorm, their village was an agricultural one that produced 30% of the city's vegetables. Even after the snowstorm, they managed to keep the crops active. Before he finishes explaining something, it occurs to this idiotic old man that revealing all the secrets to these people is not advantageous. He changes his speech, saying that it's not as easy as he made it seem. Production has been deteriorating over time. This banquet is exaggerated because they are very important people. Then he changes the subject to this ice construction that he himself ordered to be made. The government would benefit greatly from having him as an ally. The old man orders more food to be brought and says they can eat as much as they want. More food like this makes the woman certain that he is hiding secrets, and they can be used by the mountain base. The leader questions whether the government knows when this ice storm will end, if they have any plan to solve this climate problem. The woman then says that what she has to tell now is secret. As she is in a good mood, she will reveal it to him. She says the government has an elaborate plan to solve the snowstorm, and it will soon be put into action. They become extremely excited to hear this, and the woman says everything is under the government's control. Then she asks if they noticed anything different happening to any villagers lately. This time, the old man was not foolish. He pretended not to know what they were talking about. She tells them that the government is gathering these people to rebuild the country, and also says that people who know information about other mutants can tell the organization and will receive credit for it. However, the old man thinks to himself that, without any real confirmation of the benefits, he won't reveal that Chun is his mutant, but he asks for the girl's phone and says that if he learns any information, he will contact her himself to tell her. Changing her expression, the woman questions that she knows he is hiding something from his superiors. The old man, afraid, says he doesn't understand what she's talking about, and she insists that she knows something and is hiding it from them. Hiding information from the organization is a serious crime. With these threats, the old man changes his mind and goes to the woman. He just didn't tell before because his people don't know the person very well. She is curious about who he is. The old man replies that his name is Zhang Yi and that he lives on the other side of the river in a mansion. This really excites her. It's the name of the person they went out to investigate at the organization's request. She says to tell everything about this person. They will use this opportunity to get more information. The people then tell how the protagonist is a monster. They went there just to get some of his food, and he exterminated all their people. Half of the village was wiped out in the attack on his house across the lake. The old leader confirms this, and the people around him demonstrating their anger convinces the woman that this is true. Indeed, Zhang Yi is the mutant they are looking for. What she needs to know now is his face and his powers. However, they don't know this. Anyone who saw his face died. Anyone who saw his powers also died. In the end, the woman didn't get any real useful information. After talking, the two decide to leave, and they say that if the old man gets any information, he should report it immediately to her. As they move away, the first thing she does is notify the the base that they found a people who have a lot of food and can be useful to them in the future. The man then questions why she lied so much to their people. She responds that it was for them to treat them as special guests. If it weren't for that, they wouldn't have the information and wouldn't have been treated well. He warns that when the people find out, they will be furious. But for her, that doesn't matter. The two spot the protagonist's mansion in the gated community on the other side of the river. The soldier says that, to keep such a large house heated and with so many supplies, he must be someone out of the ordinary. The woman then believes that he really must be behind the warehouse robbery, as that last news they received said. They prepare themselves. The man's power is to make big jumps. Carrying the woman on his back, they arrived right inside the enemy's property. They realize it's a luxury house of the highest standard. As impenetrable as a wall may be, the woman can get into anywhere. Her partner questions if it's safe for her to be alone. Wouldn't it be better to ask for reinforcements? She doesn't want to wait and says she will check first what's inside. Besides, he's just a normal person with powers. Her abilities are imperceptible to people. She crosses the bunker wall and enters the protagonist's house. Soon, she realizes everything is lit and heated. A bad feeling makes her hesitate. The person who lives here has a better life than the people in the first layer of her base. Could this Zhang Yi be more dangerous than the military base itself? He decides to go back to ask for reinforcements, but leaves a knife to signal that he's not safe, and leaves. She says the place is very strange. They should go back with reinforcements. The woman explains that the person who lives here is more prepared than they are. It would be impossible even for the elite of the mountain base to maintain such a comfortable and secure house. He must have many powers and unknown resources. Her ability is not good for combat. If she were noticed, it would be certain death. She mounts him, and they leave. While they were invading the enemy's base, inside his room, the cat noticed something and woke Zhang Yi up. He, with his weapon in hand, looks at the phone. There were no records of the security system. However, as the cat insists on leaving the room, he opens the door, and she goes straight to the knife left behind. Knowing that this came from outside, he checks the security system recordings from moments ago. Someone entered the house using a special ability. He becomes furious knowing that someone can invade his safe place and put his things at risk. Someone with this ability cannot exist. He tells the kitten that they will now go after the invaders. With his bulletproof vest and looking at the cameras, it wasn't long since they left here. The two soldiers on their snowmobile sled are on their way to the base to pass on the information. The woman says that what she is going to tell now is secret, but she's in a good mood and will reveal it to him. Zhang Yi is suspected of having stolen the Walmart warehouse, but no one knows how a single person could have done that. However, she suspects that he has some kind of ability that can hide things and somehow access them later, something like having access to another spatial dimension. That would explain everything he did. This type of ability is unprecedented. How can something so absurd exist? She agrees that if this is true, this is the most powerful ability for this world. For this information, they will be very well rewarded. She is eager to get to the base and tell everything to the leader. Her happiness is interrupted by a projectile that passes through her brain. Zhang Yi was as accurate as ever. Her panicked partner points in the direction the shot came from, but he was no longer there. Another shot happened, and this time he fled, taking his companion's body with him. Angry at having missed, he calms down again and knows how to dominate this situation. He jumps off the cat and says they have to kill these two no matter what happens. He orders the cat to attack in that direction. The hidden soldier, trying to get some information about who was attacking, doesn't know what to do now. A giant ball of fur comes rolling towards him. He protects his ally's body and narrowly dodges it. The trail of destruction shows how powerful this monster is. The blossom cat missed her attack and quickly returned to attack with her claws. The soldier took a gun out of his ass because he didn't have it with him before. During the fight, Zhang Yi fires rifle shots to hit the soldier, and then he jumps high. Now in the air, the protagonist is sure that he won't be able to escape the next shot. The soldier escaped a cat attack, and when he noticed a projectile coming towards him, he did his best to dodge it too. Unfortunately, he managed to dodge a rifle, but now from the next attack of the blossom cat, he was not able to. He swallowed his arm and left it stuck. This opportunity was seized by Zhang Yi, who perfectly hit his skull. The two people were lying in the snow, and the blossom cat wanted to say something to him. Zhang Yi, not understanding what she means, then realizes that the girl's body began to emanate a yellow energy. Curious about this, he goes to her and wonders if this has to do with the girl's powers. Trying to touch the girl, this energy flows into his body. He feels that it was the girl's powers that are now part of him. Very happy with this, he kisses the blossom cat. He picks up the girl's body to examine and puts it inside his storage space. Now that they are not alive, there is no problem. Later, he was at home, and Xin says that what he asked her to do, there is ready. From the equipment they had with the two soldiers who died, she found out that they are members of the Xishan Refuge Organization in a base in the mountain about 27 kilometers from here. It is an underground location divided into 4 layers. Several military forces and people with special abilities live there. This information with just so little makes the protagonist recognize once again that Xin is amazing. Zhokir goes to them to say that she has something important she has discovered. They go to the examination room. There she shows that the brain cells of the girl are different from those of a normal human being. People with special powers have their brain cells altered. Perhaps it is a brain alteration that gives powers to mutants. mutants, but unlike the woman, the man's mutation was not in the brain, but in the muscle cells of his legs. Furthermore, they were different from the woman's. Zhou believes he is an artificially created mutant. Artificial mutation was made in the leg muscles. After these discoveries, Zhang Yi went to the underground to test his new powers. Now, he can use this ability to reinforce projectiles. I thought the new power would be like the girls, like the protagonist of Charlotte, who can steal powers. But the new power he stole from the woman who passes through walls, he didn't use. At the military base, a distress call came from the agents who were investigating Zhang Yi's mansion territory. The leader of the two soldiers sent orders to send reinforcements now, but his request is denied. To do this, he has to ask for permission from the base leader. However, when he reaches the Grand Leader's room, his secretary is blocking the door and says he can't speak now. He is doing something very important. The mutant military personnel at the base insist it's an emergency. However, the secretary also insists that the supreme leader is also in an emergency and cannot be interrupted. They must come back later. Inside the room, the leader's emergency was an intimate meeting with the girls who came from the elite school. They make a point of praising everything the leader does and how great he is. We know this is to please the most powerful person there. After finishing playing doctor, they put on their clothes to return to their dormitories. After this important meeting, the leader asks what was the important matter of the soldiers. He explains that the captain received a maximum reinforcement request from his members who were exploring the region of that boy involved in the Walmart robbery. The leader authorizes sending reinforcements only of low ranks. This call is not important to waste important resources. After waiting a long time, the secretary notified that they can send their low-ranking reinforcements. The annoyed captain provided the troops. On the way back to his post, the teacher was also passing through the same place and noticed her students around here on the first layer. She didn't understand how this should be possible and asks the young girls. The two naughty ones reply that they are also surprised. The teacher is on the first floor, so she must have become important too. They boast that they also have their special abilities. They are incredible fighting in Leader Chen Xining's bed. The teacher says she is disappointed with them. They seem to be aware that this is not something to be proud of. However, one of them says they can't stay here any longer. After finishing the battle, they must return to their new special dormitories on the second layer. Before they go, the teacher asks why she is not seeing the other students. They reply that while the teacher was away, many were separated from the others and never came back. One of them cries and says she thinks they must not be alive anymore and everything they accepted to do was to survive. The teacher was stunned by this information. Are there things happening here that she didn't know about? As she returned to the fourth layer, she found in the hallway the student who fights in bed with the supervisor of the fourth layer. He asks if she wants to know where the missing students are going. He takes her to a place and shows the scientists carrying bags. He affirms that those are the people who fail in the experiments secretly done here. The boy says he's telling her this because the college friends he likes are also disappearing, and his father ordered him not to question anything and just obey everything. The teacher says from now on she will handle things. Stealthily, she finds a scientist who was alone and knocks him out. She took his special suit and with it goes unnoticed by the guards and manages to access the place where the bodies are taken. She wanted to have proof that what her student told her was true. The scientists talk among themselves about the failure of this last experiment. It didn't adapt either. Only when they removed the cover did she manage to be sure that everything was true. The people used to generate energy on the fourth layer are forcefully used in experiments and discarded like trash. They use an incinerator machine and turn a body into a white paste in another device. Not sure what that was, she overhears the scientists discussing what flavor they should put in the next meal for the fourth layer. They admit that this yogurt is very tasty and extremely nutritious. Since they don't know what it's made of, they can eat it without feeling guilty. After discovering this, she felt disgusted, so she went to the bathroom to vent. She just realized that the food she had eaten for days was other people, and in a way, her students. She changes her mind about it being better to live in this place. Here is clearly a hell and unfair to the weak on the fourth layer of the base. Teacher Liang decides that she will find a way to gather her students and get out of this place as soon as possible. But where will she take the students? Will they die of cold and hunger outside? At the same time, she wouldn't be able to keep people alive in the extreme climate outside this place. Meanwhile, that night the soldiers sent as reinforcements are in front of Zhang Yi's house. One of them was walking on the territory and triggered a trapline. Several pieces of him were scattered in the snow. The captain was furious about this and is sure that the culprit is the wretch living in that fortress. The noise of the explosion and now the gunfire made the protagonist realize they were being attacked. He ordered to activate Karen's new force field defenses. He has the strongest power, the two most incredible minds working for him. Zhang Yi watches through the window, satisfied with the result. His new opponents have finally arrived. The soldiers decide to search and disable all the traps hidden in the snow. The same thing Chun's village tried to do before, and now they met the same fate. Zhang Yi activated the remote explosives, and more soldiers went to visit Queen Elizabeth. The captain gets increasingly furious. The soldiers warn that they know nothing about the enemy. They've already lost many just in the first traps. They should ask for even more reinforcements. This would be a disaster for the captain. They are the reinforcement team that just arrived and they're asking for more reinforcements. So he ignores the advice and says they should keep advancing. Even though it's risky, he decides to continue the attack so they don't return empty-handed. expanded. As they advance, Zhang Yi was worried that if they decided to continue, then did they find a loophole in security. Zhang Yi confidently says that he inspects this place almost every day and trusts Karen and Xinshin's work. There is no security loophole. She then questions why Zhang Yi doesn't attack them while they are busy with the traps. The protagonist replies that he wants to know what they are capable of. The soldiers gather and come to the conclusion that this refuge was made precisely to protect itself from human attacks. That miserable owner of this place should have known the world would descend into chaos. The captain's plan is to use explosives to make a passage into the house. A soldier manages to infiltrate and place several explosives while the homeowner watched calmly. Zhang Yi then says, "It's time they had a lesson in facing their enemies." The man runs away from the house and then the explosives are activated. A strong explosion results in only a small hole that melted the snow around it. Upon investigation, they see that they hadn't even scratched the shelter's walls. If this is as they think, the only alternative is to dig a tunnel, as the top is indestructible. They give up trying to capture Zhang Yi alive, and it's ordered that the sniper eliminates the target. The protagonist has always been watching everything through the window. The sniper fires and misses the target. Besides not hitting the right place, the window glass was the most resistant there is and didn't even scratch. Zhang Yi was disappointed with the power of the threatening mutants from the military base of the West Mountain. This reaction of his was noticed by the soldiers. The man shouts that it's not fair. How can that person have more incredible things than the government itself? The captain now accepts that unfortunately, it's impossible for them to succeed here. He orders everyone to retreat to the base immediately. Zhang Yi, upon realizing they are retreating, opens fire on them as well. The soldiers notice and fire in his direction, now that the enemy was exposed. This wasn't a mistake on Zhang Yi's part. He absorbed the projectiles into his alternate dimension and reflected the same projectiles back at them. The captain orders that they keep shooting, as it's a perfect opportunity. Everyone shoots at the same time. He absorbs all the projectiles with his left hand and shoots with the other. He was like an impossible to hit target and was quickly eliminating all the soldiers. Even with the target exposed, the captain orders everyone to forget the attack and just flee. That demon is a mutant and his powers are too mysterious. The mutants use their movement powers like the other soldier, but one of them is hit in the leg and can't continue fleeing with the others. The rest hide behind a pile of snow and order the wounded not to move. He throws a smoke grenade, which will prevent the demon from hitting them. Zhang Yi had previously absorbed a quantity of snow from an avalanche and now throws it onto the soldiers hidden in the smoke. Almost all of them are now dead. A few hours later, in the underground base, the leader received the report from the troops sent as reinforcements. They encountered a formidable enemy, and almost all the soldiers were killed. The leader, who previously disregarded the information about Zhang Yi, now has every reason to give it importance. His secretary informs him that the place where he now resides is a super protected shelter that belonged to a millionaire named Wang Simon and was built 10 years ago. The leader, considering himself a Sherlock Holmes, deduces various things about Zhang Yi, who was once just a stock supervisor in a market, but now lives alone in an impenetrable base with more resources and luxuries than they have here in the military base in the mountains. When the first two soldiers fled and radioed that they had valuable news, he pursued the two stealth specialist soldiers and managed to eliminate them. This means he has a very big secret that cannot be discovered. The base leader now believes that all the resources from Walmart are in the boy's possession, so he is a source of nearly infinite food, and surely the boy's powers are related to being able to stockpile things with him. It's possible he has many more resources than the vanished warehouse. Now the man decides it's worth focusing all military forces on capturing these resources. The secretary warns that the base's internal resources are dwindling, and the resources from that boy could provide all the base residents with an abundant life for over 10 years. As a result, hundreds of soldiers were sent from the base, and they all arrived at Chun's village. The otaku called Zhang Yi to alert him about what was happening. Before the otaku could speak, the protagonist stated that an army must have arrived in his village with the aim of attacking the shelter on the other side of the frozen lake. Upon receiving confirmation, Zhang Yi advises Chun to be cautious now. They will likely pass through the village and probably take all the food from the place to reinforce their soldiers and workforce. If Chun feels endangered, he should flee immediately to the protagonist's mansion. However, in addition to this warning, Zhang Yi sincerely tells Chun that if the military discovers Chun's powers, they will highly value him, and he could have a luxurious life working for them. This would make them enemies, but even so, Chun should think about what's best for him and not worry about Zhang Yi. After this speech, the otaku responds embarrassedly that he won't do that. He is a loyal follower of Zhang Yi and admires him greatly. Meanwhile, in the village, the villain's leader receives the allied soldiers, but he ordered Chun to stay hidden the whole time the soldiers are in the village. Chun, the chubby one, did not obey this order and went to speak to the leader, stating that hiding his identity is a mistake. They will eventually find out, and that will be a problem. Revealing it by the leader would be better. Therefore, the leader presents him as a mutant who exists in the village. The captain asks what the boy's abilities are, and he demonstrates his ability to control snow in various ways. With this kind of power, the captain tells the boy that he has a bright future in the organization. He takes Chun to talk about the benefits of working for the government's military base. Later, Zhang Yi received a call from Chun to report on the plans and powers of the soldiers he had just discovered. The protagonist thanks Chun for his loyalty and asks again if he doesn't truly want to join the military base. With the otaku's response, he is certain that Chun really is on his side, and the information is reliable. Chun says his instincts tell him to trust everything to Zhang Yi. After learning the soldiers' plans, he holds a meeting with the girls in his harem. He tells them that the enemy army is about to attack, and when they do, they will hide underground for safety. The true impenetrable part of the base is underground, but they shouldn't worry. They won't be able to defeat him even if they were 10 times more powerful than they are now. Afterward, he checks with Shin how the house's cybersecurity is doing. She confirms that they have tried to invade countless times, but she prevented it from happening. She confirms that with her here, it's impossible for them to invade the security systems of this place. He thanks her and says he's happy to have such incredible people he can trust by his side. His